Um, and that's really that. So now, finally, going into the shield. So, Wonder Woman, she's unique in the sense that the shields themselves, they're not projectiles, but then it's not zoning either. It's like it's somewhere in the middle, somewhere in like some kind of weird abyss. um, just because this is full screen, right? As you can see, it doesn't go full screen. It covers a good distance, but it doesn't go all the way. It also doesn't behave like a projectile because... Let me record him real quick. As you can see, she has to wait for it to come back, right? As you saw, the shield just vanished because she got hit in the middle of it. It doesn't behave like a projectile because if I was to hit him as he's shooting that out... I mistimed that. It still, see, it still travels. It's still gonna keep on going. It's already out. So, and that's how projectiles traditionally work. Hers, though, as you can see, it vanishes when she gets hit. So it's not a projectile. It doesn't behave that way. So that's just something to keep in mind. I feel like that's kind of obvious, though. Like for anybody that might be playing against her or that might use her, but you know, there's just something to point out. And it applies to all of her shields. The grounded ones, the up ones, the air straight ones, and the air down ones. It applies to every single one of them exactly the same way. And they all roughly cover the same distance. Like the grounded ones, like as you see the distance right there, that's how much range it covers, whether it's on the ground or in the air. They cover the same exact distance. Same with like the upward one. Well, when she does the air down one, she does launch herself back a little bit. But like, look, this is all the way back, right? You see where it's landing? You see that brown on the ground? Like it kind of just slightly extends past that. When she does the air one, it reaches that range too. So it's kind of like they apply the same way, just under opposites, if that makes sense. I think I kind of confused you. So it's like grounded air shields and straight air shields, same distance. Up air shield and the air down shield, same distance. But they're not the same. As you can see, this reaches at that distance where that little marker is that I'm talking about, the little brown on the floor, whereas this goes, you know, a little further. So it's just, if you understand the two different ones, like let's say if you just know the down air shield and the straight one on the ground, if you understand those ranges, then you understand the air ones too. It's just on the flip side for these two, the air down and then the up one. I know it sounds kind of confusing, but it's just trying to keep this in mind, just because they go hand in hand. So you don't really have to overwhelm yourself with knowing the different distances. Like you really just have to know two, and then you know all four. And that's just how it works. And then again, kind of going back to the whole projectile thing, like with the shields in general, it doesn't behave like a projectile. I mean, it's kind of established, but she has to wait for it to come back before she's able to do her next attack. So whether it's on hit, on block, it doesn't really matter. She has to wait for it to come back before she's able to do anything. So those are things that you want to keep in mind so that you don't just throw things out just for the sake of throwing them out. So then kind of breaking them down, they're very, very quick. And aside from the, well, actually the air one, it registers like a high, and this also registers like a high. But the other ones, they're mids. So unless the character can low profile mids, these are guaranteed to hit people even if it's on block. So this is going to be like a really big source of your chip damage. And I was explaining it in the other parts, you want to focus with her not on opening people up, but literally just chipping them to death. Just in a sense, making them bleed out throughout the entire match. That's really how you want to approach it. That's what you want to think of it. Just because, okay, let me go into the frame data aspect just so I can explain what I'm trying to get at. They're really, really quick. The air shield, when you launch it straight across, it's 10 frame startup. No, that's the wrong one. It's 12 frame startup, but when you're grounded, it is 11 frames. So it's like there's a frame difference, but they're essentially the same exact speed. The up air shield is 10 frames, When you're in the air, the down, it's 7 frame startup. The startup is 7 frames. You still have to take into account that there is travel time. So it could be 7 frames startup, but it's not going to hit them in 7 frames. It's still very, very fast. It's still hitting them in under 15 frames. But just, you know, always keep that in mind. It is traveling. It has to travel. So just, you know, pay attention to that. And the frame data on block and on hit and all that stuff, it changes. So I'm trying to think of what's the best way. I'll cover the straight air shield, I guess, just because that's the most common one. Obviously on hit, she's so plus when she meter burns it that, you know, she gets her full-blown BMBs, right? Like, all that stuff connects. The factory connects and all that stuff. However, when it's blocked, well, I don't think this even matters. But when it's blocked, it is very, very, very unsafe. So that's why you don't want to just throw these moves out unless you know that it's going to hit. And also that's why you want to hoard your meter too for it. So the shield toss, the standard one, as you can see, it's negative 33. Again, keep in mind travel time. If you do it over here, it is negative 33. It is that negative. Like you can see all this time, look, I'm holding up and I literally can't move until this is all done. But if you do it like all the way over here, it's still the same exact weight, like it's still recovering the same weight, but she becomes a lot safer. Because over here, look, it has to travel all the way over there, come back. Like it does this first hit, it's traveling forward, stays its little spot, and then it comes back. With this, it's doing the return as it's hitting them. Like it's coming back like right after. So you shave off all those frames. So the frame data does change for this. This isn't negative 33 anymore, like when you do it over here. Like if you tap them like right at the tip, it's no longer, I think it's only like negative 20, if even that. But it becomes a lot safer. So that's why you want to know the ranges of this too, so that you don't make it miss or you don't throw it out too close and you get blown up for it. And then meter burn, the meter burn version for it also changes the frame data. Like on default, as you can see, it's negative 18. But again, it's only negative 18 when you're in their face. When you're further away, I think it's only like maybe negative 10 or so. Maybe negative 15, give or take. Somewhere over there, but it's a lot safer. Yeah, it's just generally, like, it's a lot safer. So, if you're going up against Aquaman, let's say, he's doing From the Deeps, right? If you do the standard shield, he can always punish you with the From the Deep. But if you meter burn the shield itself, he no longer can. He can still do the reversal, but it's no longer going to punish you. So you have to pay attention to all these little things, and like with your meter management as well, because it depends on how characters are. It depends on the matchups. I'll shave that a little bit, kind of scratch that example. It still applies, but let's say Black Canary. When she has level 3 trait, it's a full screen scream, right? If you don't have meter, it doesn't matter where you throw this, even if it's at max range. If she does a reversal scream, you get punished for it. But if you meter burn the version of it, meter burn the shield, she can still do the reversal and it's no longer going to punish you, and she just wasted her resource entirely, and she has to wait for it to build all the way back up. And the point that I'm trying to make with that is knowing what options and knowing the resources that the opponent needs to punish you for whatever it is that you're doing, especially the shields, and knowing how to manipulate and maneuver around it or to bait it out. You can also like change the frame data a little bit by delaying the meter burn. You don't have to meter burn right away, so that throws people off too. But yeah, it's knowing how to manipulate the scenario, like manipulate the match, get into the opponent's head, and just be like, it's like, do you really want to, waste your resource on a potential punish, But that's really the straight shield itself. It's also plus enough that if you meter burn it at that distance, you can still connect it. And then I guess the other little benefit is that it's a really good reversal. Like if something is negative, like 20, let's say, and you're all the way over here, kind of like From the Deep. If he does From the Deep and I'm all the way over here, I can't punish him. I can't do anything. Nothing's gonna reach. except for the shield itself. The shield will always be a reversal that will hit him. So you can do the frontal deep, I block it, I can do a reversal, I get more damage out of it, out of the trades. So it's really good for that also, like in a sense of a reversal. The up one, it doesn't serve its use in terms of being a reversal. It's really only good for like Brainiac, yeah, really just Brainiac. Or just like really high up characters. Like it covers a lot of space. Like look, he's all the way over there. As you can see, it covers all this range. And it's really quick too. Like you saw the frame rate, it's only 10 frame startup. And it has a really good hitbox. But it's really only good like at this distance. Because you can use it when they're closer, but as you can see, it doesn't have the same, I mean, it does have the same trajectory, but the hitbox isn't going to be as great. One, it can miss, and if they're too floaty, they actually go right above it. So, you know, like it just sucks, and you got to wait for all this recovery now, and they can just punish you for it. And for all the shields, you can meter burn them, just like with this one, like with this one too. You can meter burn it, you can get a little BMB if you'd like. And just like that, you're good. Even at like max range, you can meter burn it, but you know, it's like there's no point in really meter burning this. But yeah, that's really it. Like for the upward one. Oh, excuse me. There's really not much more that you can do with it. Oh, and with all the shields in general, they're only good to use like at the start of a combo, just because you meter burning them. Like in the middle of a combo, trying to be swaggy or whatever, it does absolutely nothing to the combo. It makes it harder, it adds gravity, and it scales the damage even more. So there's literally like no point in doing something like this. Like look at how little damage that did for 2 bars. Well, for 1 bar. Let's say I wanted to use 2, right? Let's say I wanted to do all that. Look, 252. Whereas I could have just done this instead and get significantly more at the same expense of the meter that you just used. And it's a lot easier to land. So that's really that. So now the straight air shield behaves roughly the same like what I was mentioning before. It comes out as a high. So you do have to do them low to the ground if you're trying to hit them on the ground. And it's also a lot safer than the standard grounded one. So you saw for the standard grounded, it's -33 at point blank. If you do, this data isn't correct. I mean, that's kind of a given, but these numbers still, like the air ones, they're just not correct at all. Like the hit and block frame data. This on its own, up close, it's still not even -26. Like if you do the instant one, like low to the ground, I think it's only like -15 or so. So it's still considerably safer. If you do it from like max range, this is safe. This is like 100% safe against like everybody. If you do them low to the ground. As opposed to doing the standard grounded ones. So that's where you kind of have to juggle the two. You also recover a lot faster also. As you can see, you do all that and you recover. Whereas with this, I mean, you still recover the same exact way, but it's just better, in my opinion. And it's just knowing how to manipulate the spacing as to whether to do it on the ground or on the air. And now when it comes to the air down shields, I feel like this one just has the best use out of all of them, is that this is even safer. I think it's safer than this one. It's roughly the same, actually. Oh, going back with this a little bit, you can meter burn this on block to do a little bit of extra chip, but this meter burning it on hit is completely pointless. As you can see, it's never going to connect. So never meter burn this on hit. It's pointless. I mean, even meter burning it on block is pointless, but just, you know, to let you know. But yeah, the air down one, as you can see the range that it covers, you can hit them all the way like over here. Well, it's a little short in the range. But you can hit them like all the way up there, all the way up there, or really low to the ground. And it becomes safer the lower you are to the ground. And the further away that you are. If you're like in this like little sweet spot range, you meter burning this on block is actually plus. So you can use this for additional offense. Like if they're just blocking, Where is this thing? Like if you're just blocking with just like that, you can do the jump 3 and meter burn into that. Like do the downward air shield meter burn because it is plus. So you can check them with the lasso. You can do that, go into a bash. You can do this anywhere, but the better or the best benefit for it is in the corner for obvious reasons. So you just like that. Or if you just do the air shield on its own, you see like the range that it covers and the chip that it's doing. So it's really good, like if you're trying to close out a match, you know, just do that extra little bit of chip, get this in because it does its own chip, just do that, do this a couple more times, get the lasso, see you're doing like a little bit of chip, bleeding them out. Oh, I messed that up. But yeah, that's the general idea that, you know, the general approach that you want to do. But yeah, kind of going back to what I was saying, that this is like the better option, is that it is a little shorter in range, but you know, you're so much safer, and it's a mid, so you can't just duck it. And it's just, I feel that it just lets you control the space a lot better, because it's like you can control the space all in front of you, like literally all of this you can control at any given point during your jump. So that's mainly why I jump so much. I'm not jumping just for the sake of jumping. I'm jumping because anything that the opponent does, if they're trying to catch me on the ground, then, you know, I can just delay myself. I can hover myself a little bit, you know. Or if they're trying to beat me out, they're trying to trip guard me or anything, then, you know, I can just do the air down shield, catch them out of that. If they're trying to meet me in the air also, I have enough time to react to do that. And that's kind of one of the things that you want to do. You never want to commit to anything with her. Like when you're going into the air, unless you know that it's going to hit. Like over here, I know my air down shield is going to hit. Like if I just want to do an instant one, that wasn't instant, but you know. Like if I just want to do an instant one, I can just do that, you know. That's fine. But if you're trying to close the space and you're trying to move forward at the same exact time like that, you never want to commit to anything unless they're doing something. Because if they do nothing, they literally just let you jump in for free. Like that's literally what that was. It's like, look, I'm not pressing anything because they're not pressing anything. So look, I just got closer by not doing anything but jumping. But if they do, if they're trying to contest, that's when you can, you know, react and move alongside them. And that's really why you want to use the air shield so much. Like that's the benefit of it. And then also again, the hover. Like if Firestorm is trying to catch you with a Molten Trap, throw off his timing with this. Or if they're trying to down to you, this, as you can see, it throws her body back a little bit. So it does change the spacing for any anti-airs also. And that's really that. That's literally all her specials. And that's how it works. And again, this is how you're supposed to build meter. At least this is how I use meter. You know, just hit them with a couple of shields. I'm not trying to open them up. Remember, you're not trying to open them up. You're just trying to do that chip. You're trying to bleed them out. That's it. See, I did all this. I just built a bar, and I did like 5% chip without even needing to actually get close to them, really. So I just did all that. You always want to try to keep this 2 meter mark. Even if you're down by 1, you want to only be like 1 or 2 specials away from getting your next bar. See, like I'm constantly keeping this 2 bar mark. Like I'm trying to constantly stay in that range. Of course, you're not always going to be able to stay there. Like sometimes you need to burn bar, you know, like it's a push block, you need to clash, you want to meter burn roll out. But it's just any given chance that you have, you want to try to stay in this 2 bar range. Obviously, it's better if you have more, but you always want to have 2 bars at your expense with her. Just because she can only really make things happen if she has meter. See, like let's say I have the 2 bars, right? Let's say we have like no health, right? We're both down to, let's say it's the last 15%, right? You know, he slipped up. Oh, actually that's a lot of health. I didn't realize just how much that was. Let's go up to 30, right? You have the option, let's say you land a hit, you can try to commit to something like this and trying to be so frame perfect, or you get the down 2, they still have clash, and just do that. Get that huge burst unclashable and unair techable. And then that's it. This is pretty much game. You just have to land something on chip and you won. So that's always the way you want to hold on to those 2 bars, especially for like that really clutch moment. And my thing too, for like trying to close out a round, I always try to hoard 4 bars for the super, which is basically the last special. With her super, it's a little bit on the slower side, but you are able to interrupt just about every gap in the game with it. See, it's 21 frame startup. It actually is punishable on blocks, so that's how you don't just want to throw it out for the sake of throwing it out. But it does a huge amount of damage. It doesn't scale her combos. Like if you do like a really big combo and then you cancel into the super afterwards, like at the end, it doesn't scale hard, like at all. It really doesn't scale, period. It's sort of like Melina's. I'm going to the wrong thing. Let me go back to 4 bars. And let me reset this thing all the way back to 100. I just went the totally wrong way, but whatever. Just to show you the damage. I've been talking so much, that's why my voice is getting kind of hoarse. As you can see, just by doing the down 1-2 into that, you did all that damage. That was like what, 45%, give or take, 40% or so. Let's say you managed to get like the interactable balance, right? Oh, really? Okay, this is retarded. I hate this stage for this reason. Look at this. See, this is what I mean. She doesn't function like a character. Okay, Wonder Woman. Anyways, the whole point is, let's say you get a back 3, right? You do all that, and then you cancel into the super, it still doesn't scale. Like, you just did all those extra hits and everything. The super itself has a decent amount of hits into it, but it still doesn't scale. As you can see, it's still reaching close to that 50% mark. If you do from like a jump 3 into that, same thing. You still, you know, ups the damage. As you can see. And like what I was mentioning before, like with the down 1, when I was covering the normals and the strings and all that stuff, down 1 into super, it links. So this is unbreakable. This is unclashable. And it still does, you know, it's good damage. See, look. 40% unclashable. And it's the same thing with all her other starters. Like back 1, it links. You see the 2 hits pops up. Standing 2 into that, it links, as you see. And then what I was showing before, practicing the double back 2s. This, I mean, they can tech it, you know, and they can clash this, but if they don't have any of that, they don't have the meter to tech, and they already clashed, then you can't just do this. Or like, let's say they don't really have the meter to tech in general, but they still have clash available, you can still just do this and force them to eat all this damage. So yeah, that's really that. It also does a good amount of chip. Sometimes I just super in front of people's faces just to chip them, just for the chip. It's kind of douchey, but as you can see, it does like a nice little burst, like probably like 3%. So it's like if they're like really close, sometimes I'll just, you know, I'll hoard the meter, I'll hold on to it and just, you know, burn a couple of other specials. But if it's just like really close and I'm being petty, then I'll just do like a string or a normal right into the super just to get that final burst of chip out. So that's really that.